Good evening. This is All Sports with LD coming back at you with another YouTube post from my YouTube channel. Before I get into tonight's content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Okay, so April 30th, Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. With this fight, I think this is going to be an easy fight for Shakur Stevenson, and here's why. When I watched Oscar's last fight against Robson Conceição, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his last name right, but I'm just going to go by Robson. What I saw was in that fight, Oscar has a decent jab, not devastating, but decent. His defense is subpar. His defense is the kind of the peekaboo style. He leaves himself open in the middle. He tries to catch the punches off the gloves and also moves back in a straight line. But the problem with his defense is, like I said, he leaves himself open in the middle. There were times when Robson shot a jab through the middle and caught him flush. Although Robson's jab wasn't devastating, but it still caught him flush. Also, with Oscar's defense, because it's really not a very tight defense, punches can come around the glove and get him on the side of the face, as Robson did a few times. Also, he tries to catch everything on his gloves, and when shots are thrown at the body, he either tries to kind of almost go into a shell, pulling his elbows tight around his body, try to block the shots. But a lot of times Robson was able to dig good body shots and underneath the elbow. And the other thing is that Oscar moves straight back in a straight line. And the other thing that he does wrong is when he tries to catch the punches in the gloves, he'll try to move his hand whichever side the punch is thrown, whether it's to the body or to the side of the face. He tries to move that glove to block it. Say, for example, if a shot's thrown on his left side, he'll use his left glove to try to either shield his face or body, but then he drops his right hand, leaving himself open for a counter. So, he has decent quickness. A lot of times he wings wild punches to throw a haymaker. And a lot of times I saw in the Robson fight, when he threw those wild haymakers, he was off balance. At times, nearly turned himself completely around. So, with what I've seen from Oscar Valdez, there's nothing for Shakur to be concerned with. And I'm saying that Shakur should not use his defense, but in terms of a real shot to beat Shakur, no, there's nothing to worry about here. Shakur is a sharpshooter, very fast reflexes, and the defensive mistakes that Oscar Valdez has made with other opponents and Robson, he's going to pay for with Shakur, because his defense is not tight enough to avoid the fast hands and reflexes of Shakur Stevenson and the power. So I think this is going to be a very dominating performance for Shakur. Oscar doesn't really offer much in terms of firepower. He did stun Robson probably in the first round, but he really didn't follow up with anything that put Robson in threat at any time during the fight. Although he won the fight, I didn't see anything that would make me say, oh, this is going to be a tough fight for Shakur. So I just think that Shakur is head and shoulders in terms of talent, skill over Oscar Valdez. I know it's a unification bout, but this should be an easy victory for Shakur in terms of, in terms of the talent and the skill, his boxing IQ. I don't see Oscar being able to deal with the speed and the power of Shakur. And he's gonna pay for those defensive mistakes that he makes with his other opponents and with Robson. And I think that this is probably going to be maybe a mid-round, say 5th, 6th, or 7th round stoppage in favor of Shakur. He'll be undisputed in the division. He's just a talent. He's above all the talent within his division. So this is what I take from Oscar Valdez last fight. Robson didn't have much firepower. He was really kind of a throw one punch and wait for another open. He really didn't follow with any sort of combinations that really had Oscar second guess what he wanted to do in the ring. Although Robson got off some good shots, they weren't necessarily hard shots. He didn't hurt Valdez at any point in the fight. He's kind of like, if you kind of rate them on the scale, really in this particular fight, Oscar was a A-level fighter, Robson was a B-level fighter, and Oscar won, and because Robson didn't really have much. I mean, he's a good fighter. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but in terms of comparison, when you look at them in the ring, he just didn't have enough firepower. He doesn't, or if he did have the firepower, he was unwilling to let his hands go and really catch Oscar when he made those defensive mistakes. So, like I said, come April 30th, I think Shakur will be victorious. It's going to be another dominating outing for Shakur. And it may even be another stoppage, just like he did with Jamal Herring. So that's what I have for now. Until next time, have a good one.